Hi, I'm Will Leach, author of Marketing to Mindstates, and this is your Mindstate Messenger. So last week, I had the opportunity to travel to Europe to meet with a group called Neurons Inc. And they're a company that specializes in neuroscience-based testing of advertising. But actually, more importantly, I learned a lot about how to create a culture that really drives their engagement and their employees to go for their best. And so what was so surprising is the amount of community and excitement that I saw at this company every day that I was there. And it dawned on me that, in America and all over the world, in fact, a lot of people are talking about this concept of quiet quitting. But the fact of the matter is, quiet quitting isn't really all that new. It's a new term, but basically what that is that employees are so disengaged that they do just enough to maintain their jobs, but not enough to really get the productivity you need for you to grow your brand or business. So there's a lot of things that behavioral sciences says about quiet quitting and how to increase the engagement levels of your employees. So you're going to get the most out of them, but more importantly, they're going to want to be there. They're going to feel fulfilled. And you're going to create a culture that drives business and life. So first, what I want you to do is think about the importance of limiting quiet quitting by managing to people's psychological mind states. Now, that might be a new term for you, but imagine that throughout the day, your employees go through specific psychological mind states that either elevate their arousal and desire to work for you or limit that arousal and make them kind of look to other places, read books, etc. And the core thing you need to know is understanding how to talk and manage to their goals and their motivation, something we use in our science called goal theory and motivational psychology. So what I want to do is just give you a couple of tips here to help you understand how to better engage with your employees, processes, things like that you can do to lower quiet quitting and increase the engagement of your employees. So first thing I want you to focus on is this. You must state clearly the organization's aspirational goals. Now, I know we all have lots of goals in companies about reaching our weekly sales numbers and reaching our monthly sales numbers, etc. And those are always, of course, important. But most importantly, your employees need to have a vision of your company's aspirations. What's the real reason why your company exists? What's the why behind the reason why everybody should come in every day to your company? Now, these can be aspirational in nature. For my company, it's that we want to fundamentally change marketing so that it's science-based and it drives people to engage with marketing in a totally unique and different way. Now, when you are able to clearly articulate what your aspirations are, hopefully then your employees can buy into that aspiration. So you must figure out your why. There's a lot of books. Simon Sinek did a whole big book around finding your why. It's really critical. It's not just a hokey thing that we should all have a mission statement. It's really critical if you want to limit quiet quitting. Now, once you understand and identify your aspirational goals of the organization, of the company, and then you're able to clearly articulate those, what I want you to do is think about creating a culture of belonging. Now, there are 9 core human motivations that drive the vast majority of human behaviors. One of those is called belonging. It's a desire for acceptance. Now, psychologically, the definition psychologically is to feel aligned, accepted, and connected with others. If you want to limit quiet quitting, you need to create, first and foremost, a culture of belonging. So how do you create a culture of acceptance and people's acceptance into the broader group? Well, we have a lot to know. We know a lot about that because of work through Deci and Ryan. Now, here's a couple of things you can do, or just think about how you can build a culture of belonging. One is, how can you find ways for others or your employees to gain acceptance, attention, and support? Secondly, try to help them find similarities and common beliefs. So are there engagement groups or whatever that people can share how they're similar or how they have commonality in beliefs? That would be important to create a culture of belonging. Third, you want them to feel as if they're part of something bigger than themselves. That's why your why behind your aspirations for your company are so important. Because if they align to that why, if you were going to, change the consumption of electricity, and we're going to move people from gas to electric or whatever, that aspirational why should align with what they are so they can be bigger than themselves. They can create more change in the world, bigger than themselves. And then another thing you could do is rather or try to not make them feel homogenous. That's not really what you want to do. What you do want to do, though, is find where they can show their unique contributions are being actually applied to the broader group. So how can you communicate to your employees that what they do specifically helps create a culture of belonging for the entire group? How do they fit in with the broader group? So that's how you want to start off with a culture of belonging. Now, a second tip I want you to do, or third, I guess, would be create a culture of autonomy. Now, autonomy is a desire for freedom. There's a lot of work in the employee space that says that people really desire their ability to be free in the workplace. So how do you do this? Well, a couple things that behavioral psychology tells us. One is you can build their experience, like wherever they work, their cube, their office space. Let them build that to their own terms so they can make it unique to themselves. So give them the freedom to wear what they want to wear. Give them the freedom to decorate their cube the way they want to decorate their cube. That kind of autonomy gives people the sense of freedom. Next, support their ownership in the process by giving them self-direction and latitude. Your job as a manager is to say, here's my goal. I'm here to guide and coach you on that goal, but ultimately you need to make the best decisions that are going to help you get us to that goal quickly and efficiently, etc. So give your employees that goal that they have for their job, for that project, and then let them go, but be the coach that they need so they can kind of, run ideas past you. Another thing you do is help them encourage this idea of it's important to explore a variety of perspectives and examples. So when you're in meetings, what you want to try to do is start meetings off or any kind of sessions off with, I want to have a differences of perspectives. And there's lots of different ways you can do that. So we could say, okay, if here's a recommendation, I want another group of people to talk about why that recommendation is wrong and try as hard as it can to defeat that recommendation with another recommendation. There's all sorts of ways of doing this, but the idea is you want to encourage different viewpoints and perspectives and different examples in all your meetings. And lastly, always encourage positivity around freedom. Reconfirm again and again that this desire, to be independent and having self-determination is encouraged. So as much as you can, encourage that. Now, the thing that I learned in my corporate days is to always align roles and incentives to employees' aspirational goals and their core motivation. Here's what I mean. Sit down with your employees one by one individually and ask them to really help them to explain to you what their career aspirations are and what those goals that they have. Now you want to do those goals maybe a year from now, 5 years from now, and maybe even ultimately. The reason why that's important is you need to be able to align that job that you have for them, that role that you're creating for them, and make sure they see how it connects to their aspirational goals. Goal theory is very specific, and it tells us, and it's very clear, in fact, that we always act towards our aspirational goals. So if I, as an employer or as a manager, can show my employee that the role that they have is going to help them get to their aspirational goal that they have in their career, or maybe even in their life, that will keep engagement up. And then next, you want to incentivize them based on their core motivation. So for instance, if your motivation or if your employee is motivated by belonging or maybe the desire for acceptance, maybe an incentive structure would be that, that if they do a great job, the group as a whole is going to come together and be able to go on a weekend paid for by the company. But the incentives should match the motivation. Maybe your employee is driven more by success, which is the achievement motivation. In that case, what you want to do is if that project goes well, if they had a great year, you're going to give them more money, more power, and more incentives, because that might be what really motivates them. If it's, for instance, empowerment, you're going to give them more control. See where I'm going here? So if we are driven to kind of be fueled by our motivation, it's important for you to understand which of the 9 motivations drive your employees. And those are all actually put into my book, Marketing to Mindstates. You just need to apply it to your employee. Ultimately, here's what I know, that we have been dealing with quiet quitting for all of human history. People will be incentivized and excited to work for you, and other times they won't. It's a roller coaster. But if you're managing to their psychology and not just trying to wave a carrot in front of their face or hit them in the back with a stick to get them to work for you, but really if you understand these the goals that they have and the motivations that drive them to engage at work, you are going to be able to identify their mind state. And with that, that is going to be the most effective way you can use to build your brand and your culture using behavioral science. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Now hit that like button if you found this video helpful, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see the latest videos to show you how to grow your brand or business using behavioral science.